Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Albright. I'm the director of the film With Love and a Major Organ, and I'm based here in Vancouver, Canada, and that's where the film was made, shot and conceived and made. With Love and a Major Organ is based on a theater play of the same name, which we developed for years, adapting it to the screen. And in a nutshell, and without kind of ruining it for anyone that hasn't seen the film is about a woman, Annabelle, who rips her heart out and gives it to this one man that she loves. That's it in a very kind of simple way. The film looks at how we connect with one another as humans, and how technology maybe helps or sometimes gets in the way, and how human connection is necessary. We need one another to feel alive, human connection is the way forward. Just to fill people in that haven't seen the film, everyone's heart in this film is an object. So it's not a fleshy beating heart like what we all have in our chests. It's an object that best, I guess, sums up someone's personality. And so, and every character's is different. When I got first asked this question, honestly, the first thought that came to my mind was a prickly pear. And I don't even know why. There's no kind of intellectual reason for it, but it's a prickly pear. And I remember when I was traveling around Italy, and in Sicily, they have these prickly pear trees all over the place, and they're sort of, like a pear size, and it's got these little spikes on it, but the inside is kind of really fleshy and juicy. Anyhow, it's the first thought that came to mind. And then when I put a bit of more thought into the question, when I was asked the question not long ago, I thought maybe a more suitable object would be a snow globe. Looks all sort of put together on the outside, and you turn it upside down and it looks nice, but inside there's maybe quite a lot of turmoil and mess in there. Anyhow, yeah, so I've got two objects. So everyone's heart is an object that best represents who they are and their emotions and how they connect with the world and with others. So for instance, Annabelle's heart is a lantern, and she follows it in good and bad places. It leads her astray sometimes, but she's just so she connects so much to her emotions, and it connects her to different people for good and bad reasons. So that, I think, is an example of how her heart is a reflection of who she is and how she runs her life. Whereas George's heart, at least the one that we first encounter in the film, I don't want to ruin it for people. It's fine. They can choose to edit this out if they want.
Okay.
George's heart, on the other hand, is made out of. So the hearts are definitely a reflection of people's personality and how they connect with their emotions. In line with Inside Out, but everyone is not sort of representative of an emotion. It's kind of sometimes a mix of different emotions. Interestingly, I wanted to definitely show the heart removal. So whenever someone pulls their heart out of their chest or puts it back in, I always wanted to see this from behind. And it was partially down to budget, but also down to taste. Like I didn't want to see, the hand going into the chest and, pulling out the blood and the ribs and gushing this and that. That was not really the point. Seeing it from behind, to me, is a way that it says it all. I felt it was kind of a more of a tasteful way of going about this. And, with the music and you hear the heartbeat and the light, when you see the purple light, then that heart is out of that person's chest. And the opening Yeah, the opening credits, it was interesting how this came about. This wasn't scripted initially. It was actually an idea that came later on in the edit. And I think we had shown the film to a test audience of close friends, and there was a lot of confusion surrounding the heart. People didn't understand that it was an object, and like just everything around the rules of the heart was a little bit muddy. And it may have had something to do with the edit as well, but we thought, okay, well, why don't we make things very clear up front for the audience? And there's this idea that was floating around that, maybe the opening credits, it's well, what is the heart of that actor or that crew member? And so it was super fun to think about what those objects could be, but also to play around with, well, how would we capture this? And we thought is it moving? Is the camera moving, or are they still images? And just how much blood is coming from the object, and what is the object? What size is the object? So it's one of my favorite bits of the film, mainly because there's so much there in terms of what the object is and how we came to that decision, and how that reflects on that person. I think it was the objects were not so much a reflection of that person's personality, but more their job on set. So I think Megan, who's our production designer, hers was like a foldable ruler, which seemed like a suitable object. She's always carrying around a tape measure. Mine was a funnel, which I also thought made a lot of sense because, you've got all these different ideas and performances or thoughts that coming from different people. And it's kind of down to me to sort of take all that information and sort of come to a conclusion with it. So yeah, it was super fun to kind of think on what those objects would be and getting the right amount of blood to kind of get the audience interested, but also to kind of suggest that, okay, these are hearts and there's blood coming from these hearts and stuff. So yeah, that's the long version of that answer. To be honest, horror is not a genre that I'm massively drawn to, at least not the sort of bloody horrors, but I do love a psychological horror, like Rosemary's Baby, or a lot of the Darren Aronofsky films that, really you see these characters kind of being tormented or going through hell, and how they evolve over the course of the film. I love those sort of films, sort of the more psychological ones. And it was interesting because when the film premiered at South by Southwest, we had 4 screenings, and we had young audiences for the late screenings, and we had more mature audiences for the earlier screenings. And I thought that was so interesting because it was the first time the film was being shown. You don't know what kind of audience is going to be attracted to this sort of film. And for the Q&As, it was super evident that both groups seemed to take a lot away from the film. I felt like the older, more mature audiences really were drawn to the language and the poetry of the film, and a lot of the dialogue and the monologues that sort of Annabelle delivers. And the younger audiences were super into the concept and hearts as objects and the humor. They were laughing kind of beginning to end in that screening, and it was really refreshing because, when you've been living with a film for so long, you become a bit immune to kind of what works and what doesn't, and what's funny and what's not. But they were laughing all the time, and I loved it. It just made me realize, oh, this film is maybe funnier than I thought it was. Yeah. Hello, Korean audiences of With Love and a Major Organ. If you've seen the film, thank you so much for watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen the film, get out there, watch it, and I hope you enjoy it. See you next movie. Everybody's coming here to get some fun. It's like a whole